Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Welcome back to West Lindsey, everybody, and welcome back to the Lincolnshire Wolds again. Now, you'll be very familiar with this stretch of water by now. Have a look at this. You might not recognise it instantly because it looks a lot wider than where you've seen it before. That, believe it or not, is Waithe Beck. It's got a little bit wider here, hasn't it? And here it's flowing through another little Wolds village. And I mean little, very, very, very small place this. This is Thorganby. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. And this video is also sponsored by Jamie's Fitness Studio, based on Low Road, Greyingham, near Curtin in Lindsey. Jamie is one busy lady. Check her out by calling 07906 749 574 or emailing hello@jamies.co.uk. Online membership is available. There's a link to her Facebook page in the description. Jamie's Fitness Studio. Get fit, get happy, get healthy. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Following on from Thoresway, here's the second of the 2 places on the Wolds which make reference to the Norse God Thor, Thorganby. This is not to be confused with the Selby parish of the same name. Together though, the Thorganbys are the only 2 places with that name in the UK. Like Selby's version, this one is small, however it's much more centralised around one area. You may recall the other one is a linear affair along the River Derwent. With a tiny population, Thorganby is a collection of houses, farms, a church and one business, Riflo, lining a narrow road between Waithe Beck and Thorganby Hall. It's mainly situated in a small valley, although its western end is on an incline, offering some more lovely views of the Lincolnshire Wolds. It's not an area of outstanding natural beauty for nothing, you know. That natural beauty helps it out in some small capacity, because it's one of the things that attracts travellers to Thorganby Hall. There's some more on that later in the video. Generally though, this is just a short stroll around a place which happily minds its own peaceful business, surrounded by the delights of the Wolds and the quietness they offer. Owning a car out here is almost a necessity. The nearest towns, Market Raisin, Grimsby and Waithe, are some distance away, and the nearest village with any kind of amenity really is Binbrook. Get your boots on, guys, it's a short walk. Let's check out what's here. The main road through Thorganby has a handful of landmarks. First up, we've got an old red phone box. Not in use for anything, this one was locked shut. Over the road is Riflo Engineering. Aside from farms, this is the only business premises in the village. They are farm related though, as they make agricultural equipment. There are no amenities in the village now, although there used to be a school. Built in 1868 as a national school, it closed in 1959 and it's now 2 cottages. The school building is on the road to Thorganby Hall. This little old cottage is the old blacksmith shop, which too has now been converted into a residence. We're making our way up a hill here, not a very steep one as hills go. Here's a road sign showing what's close by. Croxby Pond, which is referred to on this, is a small lake just to Thorganby's north. At the top of the hill is Thorganby House Farm, which features a late 18th century red brick barn, a listed building. So as you can tell, not really much here, is there? Just the odd house, the odd interesting landmark, but really just a cluster of houses along some very rural country footpathless roads. However, Thorganby does have a couple of things we're yet to see. One of those is the church, which I omitted on the way up this hill because I was always going to catch it on the way back down. And also out here this way, if you take a right turn off this road, you'll get to Thorganby Hall, which is what I'm planning to do in the car later. Just before we head to the church, we have the old rectory, which is also known as Thorganby House. There's a Neolithic long barrow just to the south of this. So to the church, which is dedicated to All Saints. Built using ironstone, limestone and red brick, it dates from the 13th century originally, although it was almost completely rebuilt in 1900. It was then thoroughly restored in 1908. It does still retain, though, its 13th century font. It can seat about 80 people, which I imagine rarely happens given the size of the village it serves. The church was, for a while, part of the short-lived West Walshcroft rural deanery. That's really all the information I could find about this one. There's very little out there about it. Thorganby doesn't appear to have an actual war memorial, although there is a small silhouetted soldier in this churchyard. Nearby Binbrook's memorial was made by a Thorganby blacksmith, Nick Hurst. Okay, so from here it's just down the hill back to Waithe Beck where we started. Very, very small place. But of course, Thorganby has Thorganby Hall, which I mentioned earlier. So now I'm going to hop in the car and take a drive towards it. Fingers crossed, I'll be able to film some footage of it. To the north of the main village, you'll find this road which leads to Thorganby Hall through Thorganby Hall Farm. Set well out of the way from anything really, it's flanked by lots of agricultural land and to the south by an area of parkland. The hall is Grade 2 listed and is described as a small country house. It's built of limestone and red brick and dates back to 1648, although it has some early 19th century additions. It was built to replace an earlier hall, which was the seat of the Willoughby family and was plundered by the Roundheads during the English Civil War in 1643. Thorganby Hall offers some holiday accommodation in the form of Little Walk Cottage, a converted redundant stable, and Maris Cottage, a former shepherd's cottage. In the adjacent farmyard is this tall building. Shaped like a windmill tower, I reckon this was a dovecote, although it's not a listed building, so I'm not 100% sure. It is, though, a unique little feature. I'll tell you what, I'm surrounded by the beautiful Lincolnshire Wolds again out here. It's wonderful, it's absolutely wonderful. Take a look at this, I'll turn the camera around just so you can see. That's the road that leads down to Thorganby Hall where I've just been. And then on the other side, you've you've got the Wolds, or some of the Wolds. Beautiful out here, really is, and it's going to continue in the next couple of episodes here in West Lindsey. Time for me to move on to my next one. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Thorganby, and I'm out.